utter newcomer. I discovered geodesign about 1 year ago by attending the 2014 summit. The experience of the summit encouraged me to go into action immediately and offer an undergraduate course. That's what I'd like to speak with you about today. I am a geology professor. Geology is a discipline that's heavily spatially based, and GIS is a customary tool used for that undertaking. The institution where I teach is an undergraduate liberal arts institution with a somewhat unusual one course at a time format that is in place throughout the year. So 8 courses a year, one at a time in sequence. And the campus is in an urban setting at the transition from the high plains to the Rocky Mountains in just about the center of Colorado. This one course at a time format, I believed, could work very effectively for a possibility to introduce geodesign to a group of students from a variety of disciplines who have a craving for interdisciplinary work that acts to address environmental possibilities for restoration. So I really am a geology professor. I study rocks, I study them closely. The design element, you'll be happy to hear, came from a co-teacher, Carl Reed, who is a professor of studio art, and he has long experience in teaching 3D design. He also has a philosophy that he has promoted for a long time, that our college campus should be a work of design, a work of art, rather than a place where art is positioned for viewing in a static form. So that's a bit of his aspiration for joining the class. He struggled for years to have gained the ear of campus constituencies to achieve that goal of better design on the campus. Now, why bring geological science into design? In the context of climate change, we see many diagrams of this type that show an astronomical increase in one factor or another. So this is just one way that a geologist would look at the combination of rapid global change and a contribution of humans to that, not in the context of greenhouse gases for global warming perhaps, but as in this diagram that shows Earth moved per capita in tons per year, about 30 tons per capita per person per year. Those are geological processes and human processes underlying that. And in Colorado Springs and the Colorado Front Range, they've come to something of a crisis point. There have been devastating fires in our region recently. Stormwater management is an enormous problem because of the sediment transport arising from areas that have been deforested by fire. Our city of Colorado Springs is faced with a very large lawsuit as the consequence of an outcome of an election that was on the midterm ballot initiative that was turned down by the Colorado Springs City last year. Those two systems combine to create tremendous geological, urban planning, and infrastructure challenges of the sort you see illustrated in this diagram, events that we expect to continue not only in Colorado Springs, but throughout the Front Range. So, although our political and urban climate is not always favorable for dialogue among factions and perhaps between scientists, city planners, and civic constituencies, these catastrophic events are bringing us to a place where we're quite like-minded, and we, in an educational and academic institution, I think, have a particular possibility to use the framework of geodesign with the ultimate aspiration to turn disagreement into agreement through a collaborative process. So the collaboration for us involved a fairly short timeline. This is a 1-year timeline between the January 2014 Geodesign Conference and the January 2015 conference. just bracketing those two events, one participant at the summit last year, myself, and this year, if I have counted correctly, we have 15 individuals associated with this Rocky Mountain institution, Colorado College. 2 courses, an introduction to geodesign taught during the month of October is now followed in something of a succession by a course in digital mapping for society that's underway presently. The academic blocks, the format that Colorado College uses for teaching, resembles a format that's in place at many institutions. Summer courses often are taught in 1 month or 6 weeks, January terms, May terms, and based on an experiment sample of 1, soon to be followed by 2 next year, and a sequence of a very intensive introduction to ArcGIS. The students did not have, in the main, any acquaintance with ArcGIS prior to the course. An intense introduction to the tools of ArcGIS. In the second week, collector for GIS, moving quickly to mobile apps, setting up applications for smartphone and tablet data collection for a campus city. In the third week, city engine and collaboration, bringing the disciplines and expertise that all the students have to bring to bear on 4 design opportunities. And then in the fourth week, culmination with geodesign presentations. So just in these succession of slides, I'd like to show you a bit of the progression that all of the students followed with just a few illustrations from each of 4 teams of about 4 students. So in week 1, assembling base materials from ArcGIS Online, base maps, and digital elevation models that we have on our server at CC, and rapidly followed by data collection in the field. What's shown here is the western boundary of the Colorado College campus in an urban setting. This is how was it termed yesterday? Nothing more than a glorified sewage ditch falling through the city. The floodplain of Monument Creek that bounds the western edge of the campus has lost its floodplain. It's been channelized. There's an interstate highway, a coal-carrying railroad line, the vestige of what was a grand historic park, and city and Colorado College utilities departments in that area. What's shown here is the results of a collector data collection of cottonwoods. Cottonwoods, one of the trees that belong in that drainage and do much to stabilize floodwaters. Also just some line details about transportation corridor and the streetways. These went into some experimentation, iterations of design from methods of sketching and chipboard models, a couple of the examples that you see here. One group, whose work is pictured here, focused on some planning and suggestions for restoration of the riparian zone. The riparian zone has had been transformed into kind of a single focus service on transporting floodwaters out of the district. We get some severe floods, but they really don't happen that commonly. So this group focused on restoring some possibilities for recreation, public education about how wetlands should function in a location that's walkable to the college campus, the downtown, and some surrounding lower income neighborhoods, the natural beauty, and improve human health. This group used a sort of a framework approach in City Engine that you see in a minimal version here on the screen that effectively served to illustrate the natural elements and their spatial distribution in just a skeleton form about how they could appear in respect to the college campus on the east and a broader floodplain on the west. Another group, through conversation and dialogue amongst themselves about one of the historic campus quadrangles that is notable in that it once offered a beautiful view corridor up to America's mountain, Pikes Peak. That corridor is largely blocked. It's a pedestrian pathway that is traveled by a majority of students when they go to the campus fitness center, but it's also occupied by the college power plant and parking for facilities access and solid waste removal. This team centered upon the position of the power plant to this very busy, traveled, and utilities-oriented framework, and found opportunities to introduce renewable energy sources that are open to view for educational purposes and have a ready link to the power plant that exists in that location. This is a bit of a look of the site. Again, something of a framework representation using tools of City Engine. As a reminder, all of City Engine was introduced in 1 week, and these models were an outcome at the end of a Friday. So these offered means to compare existing conditions that you see on the left and alternative designs on the right, an iterative process that could ultimately lead to the achievement of a visualization of how this poorly functioning space could appear, and importantly, a visualization that could be brought to the city administration, to entities at Colorado Springs City or our partners at Colorado Springs Department of Recreation and Cultural Services. Now here's possibly the most refined model that was created by a fourth design team that focuses on the campus, the student center of the campus, and the fitness center environs. This is fully about 1/8 of the area of the Colorado College campus, and presently where you see an oval associated with one of the first building that offered a recreational facility on the campus, there's an open space. Presently, that's occupied by an ice arena and our natatorium. There's 4 major buildings crammed into a very small space in the corner of the campus that this design team perceived was really not in harmony with the aspirations of liberal learning in this small undergraduate institution. And furthermore, it offered an opportunity to open up sightlines to the west, minimize some of the impacts of heavy human movement and inhibited means of fulfilling the educational aspirations. So realizing the design, experiencing the design, and then sharing it, those aspirations were all achieved in the short span of time by the students in the class. The final team of 5 students worked on a pedestrian pathway with themes that resonated that you've heard in the other 3 illustrations so far. All of the students concluded the course by presenting professional presentations to each other and to a group of jurors who joined us for that conclusion. Now, in this instance, something that was effective, and it's been mentioned before, campus scale projects can be a very good way to commence geodesign. We perceive that in future years, the next projects will address additional nodes of the campus that we can link together until we've taken advantage of the many opportunities that exist for development. Students did function in multiple roles. They both acted as geodesigners and as stakeholders, which we perceived was a legitimate approach since all of the students are residents within this actual space. They live and exist and work all within this space. But we are taking this further to other stakeholders within the Colorado Springs community. Here's some images that show some of them, and to the architects who are working on a new master plan for Colorado College. So I'd like to thank everyone for the opportunity, and especially thank the organizers of the Geodesign Summit for supporting such an influx of the Colorado College population here to Redlands over this couple of days period, and it's a real pleasure to be with all of you. Thank you.
Very much. I just wanted to say it was so amazing to have anyone even do that much with City Engine in 1 week. Astounded me. But the approach that you took and the way that you took it and the students involved, and you might have noticed a lot of young faces here this week, this session, this summit. They're really the future of geodesign. You know, all of us gray hairs. I do have gray hair. This is the next generation, and then to have them here really shocked me. And I just wanted to invite these young people up on stage just for 1 second to just, I want to show you the next generation. Come up here. So these are the ones that, you know, will be taking our jobs fairly soon. So look at him. He's going to take your photo. And you get in there, too. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shannon. Thanks.